Welcome to the Golfish Podcast. I'm your host, Amy Goodman. Every week on the show, we're going to bring you fascinating interviews with the people behind the players of the PGA, LPGA, Champions Tour, and beyond. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a minute of the action. Do you know what a Dormie is? What about the Dormie Network? Well, you're in luck, because today we have Phil Owenby, the Chief Development Officer for the Dormie Network, here to tell us about all things Dormie, including how they've partnered with the PGA and LPGA Tours and their sponsorships with Zach Blair and Lanto Griffin. If you've wanted to join a golf club with a different atmosphere, a growing network, and access to clubs across the country, then this episode's for you. Let's get started. Hey, Phil, Amy Goodman with the Golfish Podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Amy?
Good, good. Thank you so much for taking some time with us today. We are very excited.
Absolutely. Likewise. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we were very gratefully introduced by Zach, and I'm super excited to talk to you today because I knew from the email that you had quite a storied past with golf, but then I got your bio and I did not quite know what I was getting myself into. So why don't you go ahead? We'll just kick off and get started and tell us about yourself and where you've been in golf.
Yeah, I've been very, I don't know how storied it is, but I will tell you that it's certainly been a long time, that's for sure. But very fortunate to get introduced to golf at a very early age. I had three uncles that were golf professionals, and one was Raleigh, North Carolina, and was a golf professional at Carolina Country Club down there. And in the late 50s, went and bought his own property just north of Raleigh, about 10 miles north of Raleigh, and built his own golf club, his own private golf club. And convinced my father. I was born in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I grew up there for the early part of my life. And my father was in the banking business, and he convinced my father to leave the banking business and come down and manage and run the club for him.
So you couldn't have hidden from golf if you tried.
No question. So we went down when I was 6 years old. So I've been playing golf and been around private golf clubs and that whole experience my entire life. So it's really my lifestyle.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's so true. It really is a lifestyle for people that have been in it a long time. It just becomes part of you and you figure out a way to just continue to stay involved.
That's exactly right. And exactly right. You know, especially when you at that early age, I just got a passion for playing golf and was playing golf every day and just love every bit of it and being around it every day. And although I don't play near as much now as I used to back in those days, but just being around it every day is, such a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just great to be around it and being around those people that love golf, and that passion. It just continues to create the enthusiasm and the energy of being around that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, Zach, he is the one that founded Dormie Network, correct?
That's correct.
So, I mean, Zach is, for all intents and purposes, like, he's young. So you get around people and you hear so much when you read about millennials and things like that, and they're killing the game of golf. But I just see so much excitement about the game of golf in people that are my age right now. And then you see people like Zach starting businesses that revolve around golf, and it can just really go from there.
Yeah, no question. And it's great because it's, as you know, golf is ageless. Mm-hmm. So, having somebody like him in his late 20s that is so passionate about the game and, again, was brought up on the game, played good golf as a junior, and then played college golf, and then just, has the bug, no question. And then to get into the business of golf, it's just so refreshing to see. And from my perspective, it's just a pleasure and a privilege to be involved in something like this, because it's about growing the game. It's about getting, all different demographics and genders into the game, but at the same time, you're really developing a portfolio of clubs that are focused on a vision, which is, entertainment golf. It's about, having a destination, a private club retreat type of opportunity for business executives to bring their clients, associates, but also friends and buddy trips and things like that. And it's all about, any type of an executive. As you know, we're very well involved with women's golf, with the LPGA and women executives. So that's a, just a neat, niche that I think that we can truly develop and continue to grow women's golf and girls golf.
Absolutely.
It's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, which I think it does need some love right now. I mean, I think there are some phenomenal players, and when people get to watch the LPGA tour, it's fascinating to watch. These women are so talented, but they don't get a lot of opportunities, especially not on prime time for golf.
That's right. So it's going to be fun to see how that develops. And again, we just had an event sponsored with the LPGA down at one of our clubs in San Antonio, Bridge Ranch, that was girls in golf. And I think it was like 54 girls, 56 girls, something like that showed up for that event of all ages, from 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old, all the way up to the teenage years.
That's so neat.
And, which is great to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the only way we're going to be able to grow the game is to get them involved early, like I was, and hopefully you were as well, and just to keep that passion going. Because, again, as I said, it's ageless.
For sure. Absolutely. And I think it's one of those things, too, that you hear about in business more and more often, and how many deals are made on the golf course and how many lifelong friendships have been made on the golf course. People that you're introduced to that you may have never known, but you may meet them in a scramble or something. I think there's a lot to be said about the friendships that are forged when you are not frustrated with the game and wanting to throw clubs.
Right. That's right. And it's been said for a long time, and it's absolutely true. It continues to be true, that you learn a lot about people on the golf course. And, when you have the opportunity to spend 3.5, 4 hours with, 3 other people on the golf course. And in our case, we're also introducing caddies to the game again. Really trying to get that going, which is another opportunity to help communities and help the young people in the communities, but more importantly, to really provide a golf experience for those that are visiting our properties. It's more than a round of golf. It's truly an experience. And for the caddy there, and you have the chance to chat with them and get to know them. My experience over the years is that many young people have gotten involved with caddy programs have progressed in business because of the connections that they make.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Yeah. 100%.
So many different facets of what we're doing has gotten me so energized and really just excited to be a part of it, because there's so many different facets of what we're touching to that golf is leading us to. The community development, the LPGA involvement, and ladies golf, women's golf, also the PGA Tour, with the Corn Ferry Tour that we're involved with, and then just business golf. And per se, it just continues to grow, and it's wonderful to see. Yeah,
I agree. So you are currently the Chief Development Officer for the Dormie Network. So for those of our listeners that are not familiar with the Dormie Network, I know you've touched on a few things that you all do. Can you give us a deeper dive and insight into what the Dormie Network does and kind of what your goals are for the game of golf?
Sure. The Dormie Network, as you mentioned, a quick brief history, was actually born back in 2016 when Zach started it and bought the first club, which was Harbor Links, out just south of Nebraska, south of Omaha and Lincoln, Nebraska. And then it's developed over the last couple of years with 6 clubs now, and all within the network. Called the Dormie Network, and that's second club was Valley Hack Golf Club in Western Virginia, out in Roanoke, Virginia. And then the third was Briggs Ranch down in San Antonio, which I've already mentioned. The fourth, the Dormie Club in Pinehurst, which is actually when the Dormie Network name was coined. Dormie, as you know, the golf term where you're in a position where you're as many holes up as there are to play in a match play, so you can't lose. And so the Dormie idea of that name became synonymous with the network, is that, you can't lose, and that's kind of the way we feel.
I love that you mentioned that, because until I was researching you guys, I did not know that term.
Yes, yeah, I bet that. And so, so the Dormie Club in Pinehurst was the fourth club purchase, and then fifth one acquired was Victoria National, which is top 50 club in the country that's located in southern Indiana, just outside of Evansville. And then the last was earlier this year, is Hidden Creek, which is in southern New Jersey. So again, a great portfolio of 6 clubs.
And all very spread out all over the country. I mean, this can be accessible to pretty much anyone in the country at this point. Exactly. From either like a drive or a pretty quick flight in. Yes.
And the vision, to go back to the original question, the vision for the Dormie Network is to develop a network of private golf clubs across the country, which providing a destination experience that is truly a top-level hospitality and service retreat opportunity for the business executives, golf enthusiasts, passionate golfers across the country that really enjoy traveling. And obviously, when you're playing golf, you're playing a different course every time you go. And with the variety of architects that we have 2 Coeur and Crenshaw design courses at Hidden Creek and the Dormie Club in Pinehurst. We have 2 Fazio design courses, layouts, one at Victoria National, and then the other down at Briggs Ranch in San Antonio. We have a Lester George design golf course, which is Ballyhack. Lester I'm very familiar with because the years that I spent at Kenlock Golf Club in Richmond, Lester was our designer along with Benny Giles, and just again, a top 100 club that's just a terrific place to play. And then, Arnold Palmer designed Arbor Links. So, a variety of different types of architects and different types of designs, which really gives you a wonderful variety of courses to play within the network and when you travel.
Absolutely.
And then we really focus our properties with accommodations. So we have cottages on site on 5 of our clubs currently, and just starting construction at the 6th at the Dormie Club in Pinehurst. But predominantly 4-bedroom cottages that are well appointed and just located close by to the clubhouse and right there on property. So the opportunities you come in and to have a full golf experience when you drive your car in the gate or into the front of the clubhouse, and we take the car, and you really don't have to get back in the car until you leave.
Wow.
So we've got everything right there for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So are all of these clubs, I believe you said this, but are all of these clubs owned by the Dormie Network? So it's not
That's
like
correct.
Okay. So a private
all
club,
owned by
if
the Dormie
they...
Network, and all owned by Zach East.
Got it. So a private club wouldn't be calling you and saying, "Hey, we want to be part of this." Like, that's not how Zach plans to scale. I mean, it is through acquisition.
That's correct.
How do you guys find these locations? I mean, because he is based in Nebraska, you're based in Virginia. How are you guys finding these locations across the country?
Well, it's interesting. The best things are always found by word of mouth, right? So golf courses that are for sale usually are not necessarily listed, although there are some, but the ones that we are acquiring usually find out through either brokers or actually word of mouth. Individual call and say, I understand that you guys are interested in other clubs, and geographically, or whether they be well-known clubs or recognized clubs or whatever they might be, and that they're interested in selling. Might be a single owner that's just decided they no longer want to own a golf club, or maybe up in age or whatever. It may be a group that owns it. It's just decided to sell. There's all different types of opportunities that are out there, and it's predominantly through just the connections and through word of mouth that you hear about.
That's incredible. So Zach just woke up one day and was like, I'm going to go buy a golf club. How does one decide? They played golf through high school and college, and they graduate from college, and they're like, you know what, how do you make that decision to say, like, this is the type of business I'm going to make? Because these are starting a business, depending on how you do it, you can get in on a ground floor pretty easily. This is like the least possible way to get on the ground floor of anything, to create something that no one else has done. And with buying a golf club that's not accessible to everyone, right? So how that is just so fascinating. Like, how did that all come about?
Well, I think that that the family has been in business for a long time. Zach's father was in business, in the publishing business, and has been very, very successful.
Oh, cool.
And along the ways has acquired other businesses as well, and done well in those. And so Zach is one of three children, three boys, and each have an opportunity to get involved in the businesses, the family businesses. And so Zach had that same opportunity with one of the businesses, and it just didn't click with him. And as I understand it, he's had the opportunity through his junior years and up through college, high school and college, to play a lot of golf and to be fortunate enough to play a lot of different types of golf clubs across the country and do some traveling. And through that experience with his dad, they've just realized that, hey, this is something we think we can do. We can probably do better, at least better from the standpoint of the way they see it.
Yeah.
And provide that entertainment and hospitality and service environment and experience for those that enjoy travel and really have a passion for golf. And so that's kind of how the idea was born, the vision was born. And so they took the opportunity. Zach decided that was the direction that he wanted to go, what he wanted to do. And so they invested of the one business and have been investing in the golf business ever since.
Wow.
So that's probably been 3 to 4 years ago when that got started. And I was fortunate enough to get introduced to them a couple of years ago by Bill Coopkley, who's a mutual friend in the golf industry out in Lincoln. And my passion is obviously in service and hospitality and really providing a level of experience that's just second to none. And so the two kind of gel together very, very well, and just like from my perspective, a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
No question.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is so cool. So with the Dormie Network, how does that work? Are there memberships? Can anyone just come in and purchase a weekend, or how do people get involved, and how do they find you and then experience your clubs?
That's a great question. Yeah. It's private clubs, private network. So obviously it is membership based. Mm-hmm. We have 3 different types of membership. We have a regional membership is for those that live within 50 miles of our clubs, 50 to 60 miles of our clubs. It depends on the club, but that's a regional membership. And then we have a national membership, which is obviously those that live outside of that area. And then we also have a signature membership that's a type of a corporate membership. So a corporation can have up to 3 designees. And so prospective members can contact us, either through our social networks or through email or visiting one of our clubs and just contacting us. And then we have what we've created is called the discovery visits. So for someone that may not know a member, then would come out with a member and be able to play as a guest and be able to experience the club and have the opportunity to decide whether they'd like to be a member with us. If that's not the case, they don't know a member, they can contact us, as I mentioned, through the different avenues. And then we could offer them a discovery visit, which is an opportunity to come and play 2 rounds of golf, stay overnight, one night, and enjoy the food and beverage and culinary experience that we offer. along with the accommodations and the golf and more importantly, the people, the team members that we have that are just terrific individuals and provide that level of service and hospitality that, again, as I mentioned, is second to none.
Yeah.
So those kind of the opportunities to get to know who we are and what we do. But like I say, we're out there in all of the social networks and obviously the magazines. We've done some advertising in the magazines, marketing through all the major magazines as well. So
absolutely. So I will make sure that we tag your social so that everyone can see that. We have a lot of listeners from Cincinnati because that's where I am from. Sorry, y'all. Our closest club is 190 miles away, so you cannot get a regional membership. But I have a feeling there will be a few listeners tomorrow when this comes out that are going to be like, okay, I need to research this. I need to do all of these things. So if you see a big uptick in Cincinnati, I could almost name the people that are going to be really interested in this.
We'll have to put you on commission.
Yeah, right. So what is next for you guys? Because you talked about the Caddy network too. So are you comfortable? Are you open to talking about the other brands that are associated with Dormie Network?
But we have the Caddy Network, Caddy Now, which is a new company and a kind of an Uber for caddies, if you will. But
that's good. I like that.
Yeah, predominantly what they do is they provide the opportunity for the club to have a lot more efficiency in the management and scheduling of the caddies through the app. Through the Caddy Now app, and then the overall reporting and accumulation of the activities associated with it is so much less cumbersome. So that's really the opportunity with Caddy Now, and then the recruitment of the caddies is a major part of it, which is obviously very difficult to get those individuals and find the right ones, but. So they specialize that and also have a sidebar part of their company that's called Bench, which is on-demand labor. So again, it's like an Uber for on-demand labor. If you have in the club business, if you have individuals that you need to move tables and chairs around for a big event, or the golf course need to clean up a certain area after a storm or something like that, any kind of on-demand labor you may need for a few hours or a few days, that's another thing that they really specialize in, and they're in a lot of different components like recreational leagues with referees and umpires and things like that utilize either high school, college age kids, younger people, and/or other individuals like firemen and policemen and people like that are in demand because they have a lot of time that they can give to other activities that they can get involved with communities as well. So the Caddy Now company is, I really see it as one, and we see it as one that's continuing to grow and continuing to be very community oriented and community minded, but at the same time giving younger people and just really anyone the opportunity to find some really meaningful work. And they can make great connections as well.
Mm-hmm. Are these caddies right now, are they based around your current clubs, or is this another nationwide network?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both, because the caddy network is really nationwide. There's a number of caddies that will, caddy for 4 or 5 months in a certain area of the country and then follow the sun and do the same thing for 4 or 5 months in another part of the country. But then again, you've got a lot of community involvement where you've got those months, in the summer months, especially in the northern belts where, the kids are looking for that work during that time. It's a perfect marriage right there for that.
I never even thought about the fact that seasonally that job can change a lot. And it makes sense that people would travel and just be like, okay, I'm here for 4 to 5 months and then I go somewhere else. It's funny when you said that, not something that dawns on me because it's not something that I have ever done. But that's that type of lifestyle.
That's exactly right. Exactly what it is. And you see a lot of that, and it's it's such a great opportunity to develop relationships and connections and meet different people. I've seen it happen over the years many times where a person starts out caddying, you might be in between jobs or whatever it might be, and next thing you know, they meet somebody they've been caddying for, and they've been working for them now for 10 to 15 years, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's really a neat opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like we've heard that from a couple of the caddies that have been on the podcast too, that's how they have found their next employer, essentially, when they've been, they were working at a club and someone asked them to go out with them for a couple of tournaments, and then all of a sudden they're lifelong caddies and traveling the world and getting to see and do all of these amazing things. And I mean, it really just does come from one connection.
It really does, and it's perfect for us and the Dormie network as well, because of our clubs. We have those types of individuals that are business executives and business owners and professional people from all walks of life, if you will, and to have the caddies come out and twofold for us, it builds such a great experience. When you're out playing golf, you're walking with caddies, or even if you're on the golf carts and you have a full caddy, that experience of having that there to give you more time to interact with the people that you're playing with or interact with the caddy is huge. But then also provides that opportunity for the connection, for the relationship building. And you see somebody working for 4 hours, and it's kind of like a 4-hour interview.
You
can tell
it totally is.
Really be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's an opportunity to see how that person might work in my organization or whatever it might do, And I've seen it happen many times, and it's very beneficial on all sides.
That's fantastic. So how does the Dormie Network interact with, I know you talked a little bit about it earlier, but how does the Dormie Network interact with the PGA and LPGA and players and Korn Ferry Tour and Symetra and mini tours? How does that all kind of come full circle?
Yeah, we've got, it's been great to have that worked out. As Victoria National, when we acquired Victoria back in September of last year, they were already hosting at that time, a web.com event. And so we were able to begin the discussions. Zach and our team were able to begin discussions with the PGA Tour. And so Zach and Dave Plaster and Mark Ruger. Dave Plaster is our Chief Marketing Officer, and Mark Ruger, our COO, working with them, and we were able to forge an agreement. So now we have the Korn Ferry Tour Championship, which is their final event. Is played at Victoria National, and we have a contract with them, an agreement that we'll host that for the next several years. And so we had our first one this past September over Labor Day, which obviously was terrific. And along with that, we've been able to attract a few players that are Dormie Network partnerships with us, ambassadors with us. We have a partnership with Lonto Griffin, who is a Virginia player, which is a homeboy, if you will. And then also Zach Blair. And fortunately for us, that both of those players were, when we developed the relationship, they were just really just playing their way playing on the Korn Ferry Tour, trying to play their way back to the PGA Tour. And fortunately, both had a terrific year in 2019, and both qualified for their tour cards. And as you know, Lonto Griffin has had just a phenomenal fall season, winning for the first time and actually leading the FedEx Cup points. So that's tremendous for us. And then turning over to the LPGA Tour, we also have a couple players there. Laura Diaz, who's not playing as much anymore, but Laura's a tremendous ambassador for us. Milana is also a young player that's one of is our ambassador out there that is sure to be a force out there. She really has a promising career, and I think it's going to be great for us. So both of them well represent the network and have gotten us involved from a business perspective with the LPGA, where we have an agreement with them to host some of their organizational events, which includes a couple of organizations that involve women C-suite executives from across the country. So we've gotten involved with that, and we really feel very, very positive about that relationship and look forward to that continuing as well. So well entrenched in both of the tours, and really anxious to see the progress as it continues to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. You a couple of things that I want to go back to. You talked about Zach Blair and Lonto Griffin. How do you become connected with an individual player to become a sponsor with them? Because obviously you're hosting these events, but how do you also end up sponsoring a player? Who makes those types of introductions?
Yeah, that again is kind of a word of mouth thing.
Okay.
With Lonto Griffin. Lonto, as I mentioned, from Virginia. Obviously, I've been in Virginia for a number of years, close to 45, 50 years. And so he grew up in western part of Virginia, and a real close friend of mine who's also a PGA professional. They grew up together, and so he called me about a year ago and said, hey, Lonto's out there. He's on he played at VCU, and he's out there on the tour, on the Web.com tour, has been playing pretty well, but just hasn't quite gotten over the hump. But he doesn't have any sponsors, or it has just Titleist, I think, as a sponsor is what he had, Titleist and FootJoy. And he said, I'm sure he'd be happy to talk to you guys. And so I've known Lonto, not very well, but certainly known him over the years. And so we connected, and then I introduced him to Dave Plaster, our chief marketing officer. And we forged an agreement and a partnership.
That is
and
so
it's been
cool.
Great for Lonto and great for him. And so so it's been awesome. And Lonto is just such a great guy, as is Zach Blair. And Zach was kind of the same way. It was just, he's so active on the social. And I think Zach and he started connecting with each other on the social networks, as well as Dave Plaster and others. And next thing you know, they started communicating and said, "Hey, would you be interested?"
Yeah.
And here we go.
Yeah, and that's how I found Dormie Network the first time, was Zach Blair, following Zach Blair on social.
There you go.
And it's, you get down these like rabbit holes, like you see something, you're like, wait a second, right. I don't know who that is or what that is. I need to research all the things. And then you Google Dormie Network, and the just vast amount of articles that started coming out in 17, 18, and 19 about Zach and the Dormie Network and different things that were coming up. It was just a really fascinating story.
Yes. It's really been a fast ride. There's no question about that. Things have, and as you mentioned, once something hits on social and it starts to hit, especially with Zach Blair and around his social network and all the followers he has, and then it attaches itself to the Dormie Network, and likewise we've accumulated a number of followers, and it's really been interesting to watch and how quickly it takes off like a wildfire.
Yeah.
It goes.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's fascinating. It takes one hit, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, what just happened? Like you wake up one morning, You're like, oh, all right. People know the name. Let's go. That's right. So
and that's been our focus too for the first 18 and 19. The focus has been to get exposure for the name, get exposure for the Dormie Network. What do we have to do? And of course, social has been a huge part of that.
Yeah.
But also word of mouth and through the golf communities, whether it be through the PGA community or LPGA community, doing what we can to really get the name recognized and noticed, and and then that starts the inquiries. And the next thing you know, you have communication, you have relationships developed, and like with you, with Cincinnati, we make a connection in Cincinnati through the podcast and through some other things. And next thing you know, you have a small group, and then it continues to grow from word of mouth. And
absolutely,
golf is a game of fours. As we know, it's a game of fours. So, once the foursome knows, then you got 8, 12, 16.
Exactly.
It keeps growing.
Yeah, it does. It does. Oh, that's so interesting. What's next for the Dormie Network?
Great question. That's a fun part about being a fast ride. You never know what's around the next corner. But I would tell you that I think that we're still aggressively actively searching for new clubs that are going to be added to the network. There's no real timeline to speak of, and at this point, we really don't have any specific clubs that we can talk about. But it's definitely going to continue to grow. And the number is really, there's no definitive number. It's just really more of when it feels right, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, right now, the 6 clubs that we have, we're extremely proud of what we have, and the facilities and more importantly, the people that are at the clubs. I mean, we have such great teams and good people that really enjoy the level of service and hospitality that we provide and are passionate about it. And, and that's how you can, there's a lot of places you can go and play golf. But, what we're trying to create is a golf experience that, when you come, that you really get to know people and you develop relationships and you get connections, not only with our teammates, but also our membership, so that members start finding out that they're introduced to somebody else that they didn't know. A person from Cincinnati is introduced to a person from Omaha that's introduced to a person from, New Jersey. The next thing you know, they have golf games established, 4 or 5 times a year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They member guests together. And that's kind of the way it develops and the way it grows. And so what's next for us is to continue to expand, to continue to grow, and really more importantly, to continue to be involved in community development and be involved in, giving back to the game in all the different ways that we can, in individual communities as well as across the country.
Well, I think you're definitely contributing to a different part of the game that I think is an exceptionally untapped market. I can't tell you how many, just when you said that, like introducing someone from Cincinnati to someone in New Jersey and then Omaha and them getting together annually or a few times a year to play a round or two. I think those are connections that people are craving, but they are difficult to make unless you have a great network behind you to help facilitate some of those introductions.
Exactly. And it's part of what we do, too. It's part of what our team does. Our concierge managers, our golf professionals, our general managers, our food and beverage directors, everybody that's at each one of our properties are, really encouraged to continue that introduction, that relationship building. Our merchandise managers, our club services managers, everyone that's on the property is to be out there, put your hand in their hand, meet people, get to know people, and get to know them and who they are and what they do. So then the next time you meet the next person, I just met somebody. You need to meet this person. And next thing you know, well, he's from Cincinnati or he's from San Antonio or he's from Denver, or she's from, New York or she's from Florida. And, next thing you know, you've got groups playing golf together all over the country. Right. And it really makes a difference.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's absolutely fascinating. And I can't wait to visit one of your clubs soon. It just sounds like such an experience that I think everyone that has a passion for golf or is thinking about whether they want to get into the game of golf to experience it the way you have described it, I think will make a lasting impact on people.
Well, we look forward to having you and all your other Cincinnati friends to any one of our clubs.
Awesome.
You're ready to try the experience. Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for an amazing conversation. I am, like I said, I'm super excited to just continue to get to know the Dormie Network more and Caddy Now more. And I'm really excited to see what else Zach comes up with to bring golf to the masses. Are you ready to play a quick 9?
Ready.
Awesome.
Let's go.
What's your favorite club in the bag?
The putter.
Oh, okay. All right. What's your favorite memory in golf?
Playing golf at Valley Bunyan.
Okay. What is your bucket list course to play?
Bucket list course that I have not played?
Yes.
That would probably be St. Andrews.
Okay. Is there a bucket list course that you have played that you loved?
Yes. It probably wouldn't be wise to say one of our own because right?
No, not at all.
6 of the Dormie Network.
See, there you go. There's nothing wrong with that answer. Do you prefer to walk or ride a course?
Walk.
What is your favorite golf tournament to attend?
The Masters.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that answer. I appreciate that answer. Road tripper or frequent flyer?
I'm sorry?
Road tripper or frequent flyer?
Frequent flyer.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Would you rather vacation at a lake, ocean, or a mountain?
Ocean.
And what is your drink of choice?
Anything with ice cream.
That's a good one, too. I like it. That's awesome. Well, Phil, it has been an absolute pleasure. I am so excited to introduce the Dormie Network to our listeners. I've been telling a handful of my friends and colleagues about this, and they were fascinated because, again, they've read a few articles about you all, and it's just such a unique business to be in within the golf industry. So I'm very excited to bring you to more people.
It's our pleasure. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It was great to meet you and have a chance to chat with you, and look forward to doing it again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining me this week. Let's continue the conversation online. You can find me at Golfish Podcast or at Miss Amy Goodman on Instagram. See you next week.